Take that, John Brady.
Yeah, of the internet.
In 2012, most video game news seems to revolve around America. Well, to that. We stand for Queen, Country, and Video Games. BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello, and indeed ahoy hoy, and welcome to episode 2 of BRB UK. I am one of your hosts, Dan, and with me I have the very humble, the one, the only, the previous smelly canine, Tim. Say hello, sir.
Hello. Who the hell are you? Who the hell's this Dan chap? Never heard of you.
Right, again, Tim. You know, one thing some of our listeners said is that keep Tim off the magic mushrooms before next time you record. I see that you've completely ignored that advice.
And some people said I was in top form, and by top form, I assume they mean genuinely the most stupid I can be.
Marvellous.
Which is good, apparently.
Good.
I'm pretty sure the exact words they said were, you should have been on top form. I think you missed the first part of the sentence.
Right. The whole reading thing not coming across very well either. Oh well.
And probably the eagle-eared among you just picked up an accent, and that is, of course, the self-titled internet celebrity, John.
The face of the internet.
Hello, I'm not sure those were the exact words I said.
No, the words in your article were being an internet celebrity.
Are you referring to the article I wrote about Tripletown?
Yes.
Because I said it wasn't celebrity. The word I used, to get it exact, was superstar.
You're such an idiot. And then, being the master of self-promotion that you were, when episode 1 came out, all of us were obviously twittering saying, hey, the new show's out, come and listen. You said, hey, the new show's out, come and listen, and then provided a link to one of your articles rather than the show.
That might have been a mistake.
Team player, yeah?
Really?
From the man that is the self-proclaimed face of the internet, and not only that, probably the hair of the internet as well.
Sometimes my clipboard just gets things wrong.
Accidentally on purpose wrong, yeah?
Accidentally, perhaps.
Yeah. So what other gross acts of self-publication have you, publicising rather, have you done this week, John?
I haven't actually done that much, apart from that clipboard slip up, which was not my fault.
But you did turn 21, didn't you? So happy birthday.
I did turn 21, yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy turning 21. I almost remember that.
Well done.
So you are now legal in California, so fools will be happy. It's true.
I am never accepting a drink from that.
They've legalised that. They've legalised that kind of thing. It's not just a drink. So you can put Rohypnol in anything. And it'll be under his sweaty spell.
There's some medical advice for you. In other words, don't go within arm's reach of fools,
yeah,
basically.
Absolutely. But talking of things you actually probably can get away with eating and drinking, I understand the rather fine chaps and chapettes at Loading Cafe Bar have been in contact with you, John.
Yes, they dropped me an email to say that they have been nominated for an MCV award. For those who don't know, MCV are a really, really big kind of market and business kind of games magazine in the UK. And if you are a business in the UK to do with games and they give you a kind of nod, that's basically a very, very good thing.
So congratulations to them.
Notice they haven't given BigRedBarel a nod. We've been alive a whole month and nothing. Come on.
They have not given us a nod yet, but that's okay, because they did get in touch to ask us to give them a little shout out, and here they gave me one very good reason why. They are the underdog, and we love underdogs.
Right? Oh, I do love underdogs.
You know, I shouldn't be surprised that they only got in contact with self-styled internet superstar John Brady.
The face of the internet.
Exactly. Now, the thing is, they've kind of got some stiff competition. They've got Game Station, and some little shop called John Lewis to face up against.
Don't they just sell, like, kind of futons and stuff like that, and stuff that middle-class people like?
Apparently not. But I'm going to vouch for Loading personally, because they make really, really good coffee and really good cocktails if you can make them right, and I can't.
Why can't you? Is that because you're too uncontrollable around alcohol being Scottish?
The thing is, it's like I tend to get my 1s and 7s mixed up, so when it says add 1 measure of vodka, you know, it just... One thing leads to another. But the point is, they make really good coffee, which is being sold in firebox.com these days.
Oh, fantastic.
They worked with The Guardian last year to do some kind of Christmas tie-in drinks to do with all their games of the year. And they've worked with like THQ and EA and things like that to make kind of
official
cocktails for them.
Things,
a bit like the Drunken Mule, except these ones are properly official. So they have done They did some Saints Row ones. They've done... I'm trying to remember a bit. The point is, I drank so many of them, I can't remember them.
So did the Saints Row ones have, instead of a plastic giraffe, a little plastic cock on the side of it?
There was one for each of the gangs in Steelport.
Do they come up with the recipes and then give those recipes away through the internets, or do they just make them at places and stuff?
They do a bit of... They tell you them on their website, which is drinkrelaxplay.co.uk. They tell you all the ingredients on there, so we can put the link in the show notes on the front page of Big Red Barrel.
Oh, cool. Well, that sounds interesting. I'm a cocktail drinker myself, so I'd be interested in some official game cocktails.
I'd like to see a Krogan cocktail.
I wondered if they could get a Krogan cocktail. What would you put in a Krogan cocktail?
Something slimy.
Basically nothing that isn't alcohol.
Something that makes your voice go like this, so you go, shepherd.
Yeah. So basically, what you need to do is just neck 3 bottles of vodka, and then a bottle of whiskey as a chaser. That should do the trick.
Vodka and dark rum-based cocktail, I reckon, for a Krogan.
So yes, we're just giving a little shout out to them because they're great guys, and the fact they're in the same category as Game Station, and John Lewis for an MCV nomination is just ridiculous.
Marvellous.
And if you live in or around Falmouth on the south coast of England, you should pop in.
Falmouth, as it's known to people who live in England.
Well, yeah, the thing is, I'm not English, so I don't have to...
It's not a Scottish town! It's not called Falmouth! You idiot!
Falmouth.
That's what he thought it was. He thought it was called...
To be fair, we probably don't pronounce Edinburgh properly either, so, you know...
Or Glasgow.
Glasgow.
I have just pasted a name of a Scottish town into the Skype window for people that are listening. Oh, wow, you managed to pronounce it right. Okay, the point is, if you live around Falmouth, you can pop in and you can have a great coffee or you can have a wee drink, and they do have games and consoles and stuff set up since they are a gaming bar.
And do they get a discount if they say they've touched internet superstar John Brady?
I'll need to get in touch with them about that, but at the moment it goes with no. If anything develops, we'll put it in the show notes.
So how would they tell if they have touched internet superstar John Brady?
Well, I give out a business card to nearly everybody I meet as the internet superstar that I am. So if they have a business card,
you have this little glow around you after touching the internet star that is the face.
Yeah, I was going to say surely the rash would be fairly self-evident.
Yeah, that's the kind of glow. Yeah, a rashy, ready glow.
Just give them a sample of the penile discharge you're experiencing. It should be fine.
Oh no, Cap! Too much medical information.
I honestly think that you've taken that just a slight step too far.
Let's talk about a game quickly, Captain. What have you been playing?
So much like that joke, I've gone a bit to the dark side, chaps. I've got an admission to make.
Okay.
What?
I might be enjoying Kingdoms of Amalur.
That's okay, you're allowed to enjoy a game that other people didn't like. It's alright.
It's alright. Just because one of the people on this website completely panned it doesn't mean we all have
and
to.
I didn't hate it, just I didn't have time for that bigger game in the moment. I thought it was alright.
Go on. Why did you like it?
I mean, I think the beginning of it, and sadly by the beginning of it, is about 10 hours. It's a little bit slow going.
Is it trying it out Final Fantasy's 20-hour tutorial?
Yeah, well, kind of a little bit, but it's only 10 hours, so they're doing one thing a little bit better. But actually, when you get into it, like the sage crafting and the blacksmithing is actually all quite a deep system, and all the little bits of leveling up you can do on your character, you can really, really tune your character to the way you want. And if you don't like how it's turned out, you can just respec all your points for a bit of money. The plot actually isn't that terrible either. I'm quite enjoying it.
I've heard the story's okay, but it's just the world that seems a bit unlived in and uninhabited.
Yeah, but it's quite pretty though. It's there's quite a lot of spaces. I mean, it does suffer
quite a lot of spaces. Well, I'm sold.
Yeah, I know, but it does suffer from Zelda syndrome, where big bits are interconnected by passages where you see your chap run off into the distance. And yes, but actually not that bad a game. So,
and what way did you go in the end? Did you go more combat orientated or more magic? Or?
I am a battle mage.
A battle mage. Yeah, that's kind of the way I generally go in those sorts of things.
I am the most indecisive warrior in Amalur. I couldn't decide which one I wanted to be.
Well, isn't that kind of the point?
Yeah.
You aren't stuck in one thing.
Yeah.
Which is the one thing I was excited about.
I hate being stuck in one thing.
Yeah.
Bugs me.
Yeah. There's a whole road we could go down with that, Tim. I know you're trying to goad me with that particular statement, but I'm not going to take the bait.
Ooh.
I'm not going to take the bait. But anyway, so Amalur, good game, I think. The missions you miss out if you don't get the online pass really aren't that great, so don't worry about it. Pick it up second hand.
Is it true, from what I've been reading, a lot of the stuff in Amalur is just your standard fetch quest? Is that true?
At the beginning, yes. But as the more you go on, not so much actually. It turns into more go over there and kill these people, which is a bit more entertaining because the combat system's actually quite good. But anyway, I talked all about this last week. Let's talk about some new stuff.
New stuff, yay!
New stuff!
So, yes, this week we're going to be talking about the PlayStation Vita because that should be released the day this podcast pops out of the internet's birth canal.
Unless the entire thing explodes and nobody gets one.
Yes.
Oh.
But generally, it probably will be out, yeah?
Absolutely.
Considering they're kind of already leaking out in America and Canada and other places, then there's been a bit of a weird soft launch thing going on, but yeah.
Yeah, so aside from the stock controlling continents it's experiencing, yes. Also, we're going to be talking a bit about SSX, Syndicate, and Soul Calibur 5, so do stay tuned, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of BRB UK Episode 2.
So, if you're listening to this on the day this podcast came out, February 22nd, which is a Wednesday, then the PlayStation Vita is out, and if you're very rich and have less sense than money, you can go out
Morning.
and buy one.
Hi, how you doing?
Yes, Dan, you on this day, the 22nd of February, you bought a PlayStation Vita with your money today.
Yeah, well, I actually, in order to afford it, I did actually sell a load of stuff, like a load of old games that I had collecting dust and an old laptop. So yes, it's paid for itself. I did the man maths, trading stuff in. Keeps Mrs. Dan happy.
See, when you said selling stuff, I thought it was going to be far more interesting stuff. You had to sell, like, children and kidneys. And...
I was not selling my body on the street. I wasn't. We'll give oral pleasure for 32 gig memory cards. I wasn't doing that. You
could have at least come up with something funny.
I could have done, but I just sold a load of stuff because the cost is relatively astronomical. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. We're recording this on the Monday. It's not out yet. By the time you listen to this, hopefully I will certainly have a PlayStation Vita in my sweaty little hands. That is unless my local branch of game doesn't get their stock, because when I talked to them about it today, they didn't have any stock.
Oh.
Which is a little bit concerning.
A little bit worrying.
I'm sure has nothing to do with game being in dire financial waters.
On today, the 22nd of February, which is the launch day on which this podcast comes out, what are you getting for your Vita if it arrives?
I plump for the 3G version at the end of the day. Now, my reason being is thus, before both of you...
You're rich.
No.
More money than sense.
Both of you fall over. No, well, okay. So, I initially thought, when I placed my pre-order, that the SIM card was going to be locked to Vodafone. In fact, it is not. So you can put any SIM in there that you like, just as long as it's activated for data, and it'll work.
Have you confirmed that from just, like, the demo units? Or?
I have confirmed that by going down Game, my local branch of Game, who are getting a lot of free advertising off of this episode.
No, but I mean, have you confirmed it beyond what you said you did already, which was what you're about to say that you did?
Yes. So basically, they had essentially what is a retail unit sent early to them to demo in the store, which was 3G. So I popped the Vodafone card out, put my own mobile SIM in there, and it worked. A treat. And that was with 3. So I can definitely confirm that 3 and Vodafone work, and, you know, it makes no sense if other operators didn't work. So you can probably find, if you shop around, some really good deals, and 3, which you can find at 3.co.uk, do some very good and competitive mobile data deals. So don't feel like you're going to be locked into Vodafone. So that, and the fact that the 3G unit has GPS, which the Wi-Fi unit does not.
So that means we can stalk you.
Yes, you can stalk me, you lucky thing.
Don't you need the 3G to take advantage of the GPS, though? Like,
no,
anyway,
you don't. No.
You can use it on Wi-Fi, can you?
No, the Wi-Fi does not have a GPS.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Wouldn't you naturally have to have 3G to be able to make use of the GPS?
If you were out and about, you would kind of need a data connection.
Well, but it depends how it's used. Like, if it's only tracking physical location data and tracking where you went, it could then reconstruct that when you got back to a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Put it this way, on Twitter, on the PlayStation blog today, they announced that the Vita PlayStation Store is open and that 2 of the apps available are Twitter and Facebook.
Book your face.
So that if you were posting photos on the go, say from, I don't know, a PlayStation Vita, you might want to tag where you are.
Yes, but you'd also need a bit of your brain looking at if you're using the god-awful cameras in the PS Vita to take pictures of anything.
You know what? If you're out and about and you've got shit for brains, then that's what you do. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that the PlayStation Vita is more than just a walking, talking camera and 3G device. I'm pretty sure it plays games as well.
We've all had hands-on with a few games now, haven't we? And I got another chance to have a quick hands-on last Thursday at the launch event in London, where they had a few people playing like DJ sets and stuff as well, which is quite interesting. And like
that ever-present man-child Tim Westwood, yeah.
Tim Westwood and Chris Moyles were there, which was interesting enough. You know, they were quite funny and stuff, and played some funny things, and yeah. I had a little DJ competition between them. It was amusing enough anyway. But yeah, it was a nice night and stuff, and got to get some more hands-on with the game. I apparently completely ignored the fact that Goldie was sitting next to me when I was playing MotorStorm RC, apparently, according to Richard, who came along with me. But yeah, hey. Anyway, but yeah, it was an interesting night, and yeah, I got to play a few of the games that I hadn't played yet. Lumines and MotorStorm and stuff that I said as well. But yeah, I'm still not sure, basically.
What is it you're not sure about? Are the games good that you have played?
I like some of the games that I've played, but not really enough to sell me on a purchase yet. I'm hopefully getting a chance to have a bit more of an in-depth hands-on with one next week sometime, so hopefully that might persuade me. But at the moment, I'm not sure about the joysticks. Is one of my problems.
Well, yeah, I mean, because we talked about this when we got hands on with the Vita a couple of months ago, it was in December. And I think, I mean, the thing that took me by surprise on them was that you couldn't click in, but that's probably just due to the fact that might be too fragile to do on a mobile device. But all the reviews I've read say that it does feel a bit weird to begin with, and it's not helped by the fact that the surface of the sticks are convex instead of concave. Like, if you look at a 360 controller, they're concave. They've got little divots where your thumb should go, whereas actually that's not the case on the Vita, and probably that would have been a good design choice to make that they didn't.
Also, as much as I hope I get used to some of the functionalities, or even the developers get more used to making it, then my first question with the back touch and with the touchscreen stuff is there a button option, or can I turn it off?
Apparently in most of the bits of software, I think perhaps with the exception of little deviants, that it is optional. But, you know, there is some quite interesting use of it, like on FIFA 12, when you're taking a shot, you aim it using the back touchpad, which is, you know, like the goal.
I've spoken to someone that's had some in-depth hands-on time with that, and hopefully I will get some time myself to see if he's right. But someone was saying to me at the launch event that it gets a bit frustrating because it's not quite as good as you'd hope it to be, and sometimes you kind of forget about it and accidentally hit it. I don't know. As I said, I'll pass judgment when I've had some more hands-on time with it myself, basically.
I'm going to reference one thing here, because the launch of the Vita, what it has in common with the PS3 launch is that everyone's gone, here's some new toys, we must use them as much as we possibly can.
Exactly.
So when Uncharted Golden Abyss, you've got, Nathan Drake's losing his balance, you better use the motion, said sir. You've got the touchscreen being used everywhere. I mean, it's the same way like when the PS3 came out, MotorStorm abused the 6-axis, Resistance abused the 6-axis, everything abused anything and everything that was thrown at it.
In all fairness, the PS3 incarnations of Uncharted do use the motion sensors in the 6-axis for the balancing nonsense. In the Vita's defence.
See, that's the difference between me. I was thinking about this with the Vita. The difference between Nintendo and Sony and their application of technology. That Sony tend to go with kind of what technology can we put in there, and then let's make a game for it.
Whereas Nintendo know what they're doing from the start.
Yeah, they seem to have a much better overall plan, even though their plan may seem crazier from the start.
Well, I mean, I think the thing to bear in mind is that these are all just launch games, and hopefully a year or so down the line people will be thinking, you know, the best way which to use them, and possibly which bits not to use. I mean, that is my one concern with the Vita, is that kind of Sony are, you know, I don't know if this is the case or not, whether Sony are leaning on developers saying you must use the back touchpad or at least X number of features that the Vita has, where actually is it adding anything to gameplay.
But I did get a chance to speak to one of the developers of Reality Fighters, and he talked about some of the interesting uses of the AR technology beyond just Reality Fighters as well, and in Reality Fighters. And there's a whole extended interview that you can get as bonus content coming up at the end of the show as well, hopefully.
Lovely. But the one thing that may be holding a number of consumers back with the Vita is that they don't entirely trust Sony not to screw the pooch on this after seeing what happened to the PSP. So, chaps, what do you think the Vita needs to do to avoid that terrible, awful fate with the PSP?
Have a second analog stick.
It's got one of them.
Avoid what they're doing right now, essentially, which is to bring out console-scale games on the handheld console. I used to call them portables. I used to call the Game Boy a portable and stuff like that, but it's not a portable anymore. There was an article I wrote a few weeks ago on BRB.
God, promoting himself again, watch out.
No, just say, right? And I essentially said in it that most people these days, when they play a game on the move, it's something like Triple Town or, Cut the Rope or, the usual one, Angry Birds or anything like that. Stuff that's kind of bite-sized, but at the same time it's not overly boring or too strenuous or anything.
Well, the good yardstick is that it can see you through a session on the porcelain throne, approximately. That's a unit of time you're after.
Why are people going to buy a handheld game console that can play stuff that they could easily play in the room next door with their PS3 or their 360? Are you saying you're paying £230 for something you can use on the toilet?
It will enhance my toilet going experience.
How decadent is your lifestyle, man?
Well, apart from the fact that I do actually wipe my bottom with eucalyptus leaves that have been flown in from the Blue Mountains in Australia, not that decadent, really. But, I see what you say. I think that's the problem with a lot of mobile games. And I don't necessarily think even the 3DS's software library entirely escapes this, is that mobile game, the successful mobile games are the ones you can pick up and play for 10, 15 minutes and then put down again. That's why Patapon on the PSP was great. That's why Tetris is great. That's why probably Lumines on the PS Vita is going to be great, because you just got little self-contained bite-sized nuggets of gameplay that you can then put down and walk away.
Plus, let's not beat around the bush. We have been spoiled by Apple and the App Store and the iDroid market, because we get given games like Triple Town and Tiny Tower and stuff like that for free. And it's like, yeah, you can play this for absolutely nothing, and you can play this all you like, and then if you want to give us some extra money, you can. And then how is Uncharted going to feel going in for sale in-game for $42.99?
But I think the one thing that Sony have to leverage here is that it's very much a proper, it's such a terrible term to use, but a proper gamer's handheld, you know what I mean?
But I'm a proper gamer, and I don't want one.
Oh, well, fair enough. Good for you.
I don't see where in your life you're going to get that much use out of these days. Because, as much as I like my 3DS, I spend most of the time playing it in my house. I don't really tend to take it anywhere. And it's because it gives me a slightly different experience than I can get on my console that I find it enjoyable, I think.
Well, I do have quite a long commute on the tube to work, like an hour each way. So for me, I'm probably going to get quite a bit of use for it.
I do see people using PSPs and 3DSs and DSs and stuff on the tube, but not that many. It tends to be more mobile gaming that I see taking place on tubes, no?
To be fair to the Vita, it is a wonderful bit of kit. The games do look great. A lot of them are great fun, but I think the best example of a Vita buyer is somebody that's maybe not a huge gamer, and they don't own a 360, they don't own a PS3, and it's something they can use quite a lot at home more than anything. And that doesn't seem right for a game console when all the lifestyle shots they've released show people sitting in the middle of London with it.
It's also not bad for someone that's in an environment, say, where they've got a PS3 and someone else in the house, a partner or something, that games, and that you can say, right, I'm going to play on the console, you can play on the handheld for now, sort of thing, and swap it up a bit. That's
honestly, I just go and read a book.
A book, maybe your own book.
A what? A what?
We've established it's what he calls a book, Captain.
Oh, right, okay.
Right,
lovely.
yeah, cool.
Jolly good.
We learned this about his book that he wrote, and we had to both buy it to find out what the hell he was talking about.
I have not mentioned anything about this. You're the one turning me into the promotional machine for myself here.
I think what Sony really have to do, that you've seen coming up with a couple of their games like MotorStorm RC, is the fact that you kind of get the PS Vita and the PS3 version at the same time, and the save files are interoperable and transfer themselves via cloud storage.
And is that a cheaper game as well? I saw someone saying that was
it's about $5,
see, that,
which is good.
That looks like a really good fun and a good spin-off from the MotorStorm series, and exactly what they should be doing with their properties on the handheld, basically.
Absolutely. But, and I hope they don't go down the PSP route where, I always got the feeling with the PSP, Sony were never quite sure what they wanted the PSP to be. They were trying to make it an everything machine, where actually it didn't do all of those things that well. The turn-by-turn GPS thing you could buy for it, which was a bit bloody ridiculous. And
yeah, they seem to have odd plans with what they did there. I hope they've got a more coherent plan for, the support of the Vita going forward, basically.
So there we go. But anyway, I shall be picking one up day one, and you'll be able to hear on episode 3 of BRB UK whether or not I'm crying into my cornflakes the fact that I'm now poor.
I'm sure you'll be alright. I mean, it's not like the PSP's been outselling it in Japan or anything.
Shush! I don't want those facts. They make my brain hurt. Syndicate, Tim, I understand is something you've been playing. Now, this is something that I remember and loved in my formative years playing on the Amiga Syndicate, but they seem to have done something bad and wrong.
I got as far as the menus and it gave me a headache. That's all I have to contribute.
I must preface this with the fact that I have absolutely no association with the previous series, so I'm not coming with any of the baggage of, oh my god, they've done something to something I love. I'm sorry, I never played it before, so I'm not coming to the table with that part of the equation. There are some definite issues with the game, let's say. Like, I don't like the fact that somehow in the future it's more difficult to get through doors. I don't know what that is, but there's lots of...
That might be confusing.
There's lots of, as I called it in my review, God of War doors, you're bashing to get through doors and stuff like that. It's a bit,
well, maybe it's because in the future they expect all the doors to be automatic and are flummoxed when one doesn't automatically open.
Just a bit too much door bashing. And lights everywhere. Daylight, lights, every light is possibly headache-inducingly bright. For some.
What did you think of the menus? I thought they looked rubbish.
The menus look rubbish. That's fine, but that's kind of, and to be fair, there's
all about the menus.
There's quite a kind of, they've tried to put quite a lot into the story. Starbreeze, the makers of the game, they've got like Brian Cox and Rosario Dawson. Is it? I think.
Well, as in the astronomer, Brian Cox.
No, as in the actor.
Professor Brian. Oh.
But they've got both of them in to do like voice acting and motion capture as well. And they've really kind of tried to go in depth on the story. And the story itself is a bit kind of one-dimensional and not kind of.
It's your average shooter story.
No, it's not even that. It's this like, oh my god, this couldn't have been much more predictable if it tried. I swear I've seen this story before like 5 times. Yeah, but it's done with a lot of style and carries off okay, but yeah, a bit trite basically. But
so glad though I am that we've got off the highly interesting topics of lights being bright and there being some menus.
That was one of my biggest problems with the game.
Can you shoot some guns in this game? Though, yeah?
The gunplay itself and the mechanics of the game are really enjoyable. I find them quite good. I don't know how well it picks up on the kind of the universe that was built before and how involved the story is, but you're basically a member of a syndicate and there's other syndicates, and it's how those syndicates are interacting with each other in terms of like industrial espionage and stuff like that.
So basically it's like corporate espionage skullduggery, but with guns and grenades.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that it's an out-and-out first-person shooter. Considering it's about industrial espionage and stuff, you would have thought that they might have had some kind of sneaky element to it, but there really isn't much sneaking. In fact, like compared to a game that it is quite comparable to through kind of thematically is Deus Ex, Human Revolution from last year. But there's none of the like sneaky options or breaking into computers or any hacking or anything like that, basically. All the kind of breaching and stuff that you do is very much in the moment sort of idea. You get like 3 basic powers in the game. One called backfire, which basically makes
farting.
Well, it makes the kind of guns that I think people are using explode and knocks them backwards, so it knocks them out of cover and stuff like that. That's quite handy in times. But then you've got persuasion and suicide, and they work kind of similarly. Suicide basically just makes someone explode and will explode other people around them, whereas persuasion will make someone fight on your side, and if he takes out everyone else before the persuasion bar runs out, he'll also shoot himself in the head.
That's more suicide than the suicide. Suicide is people blowing up.
Yes, it is a little bit as well. Suicide's more of just a human bomb type thing. But all 3
Someone
powers...
doesn't know how to work a dictionary there, I think.
But all 3 powers are quite good, and you've got this overlay thing, which is a bit odd. In the single-player mode, it slows down time, which is quite handy, but it makes everyone glow orange, which can be handy if you want to know where people are, but it's not actually that good for shooting people. So because you can't tell if they're through a cover and stuff like that. But it's also got quite an in-depth co-op mode. As I said, the story in the story mode's a bit but as I said, mechanically it's a fun game to play through, and there's quite a bit of game there. But then there's no multiplayer at all, which I found a bit odd, and I don't know.
But wasn't there a co-op demo?
There was a whole co-op demo, and there's co-op, but there's no competitive multiplayer.
Which has multiple players.
No, yeah.
So it's multiplayer.
No, that's what I'm saying. The distinction I was trying to make is there is no competitive multiplayer, which I thought there was as well, yeah? But there is just a co-op mode. But it's quite an extensive co-op mode. There's about, I'd say 12 different levels, and you've got a whole system of unlocking things that's similar but different to the unlocking trees that you've got in the single player game, and you also get to unlock alternate fire methods and other things you can do through what do they call it, research stuff, and researching different weapons and stuff. And it's quite an interesting mechanic, and means that you kind of want to go back and play more, and it seems quite good in that respect.
But at the end of the day, what gets me with Syndicate, I mean, we'll move on after this, but it would have been probably much more enjoyable if they actually just went back to the strategy isometric type thing of the original game.
I spoke to the developer about that, and he said in the current environment, that game wasn't being made because you can't make that game in this current environment. I think.
God damn it!
I think there's a better chance if Syndicate it does well as a game. There's a better chance of that RTS game being remade again if this game does well. I think. I mean,
it's such a shame because Syndicate was cracking, and it just sounds like a total dilution of the game. But anyway, I'm grumbling.
I have to say though, as the mechanics and the basics of the game, it's not perfect, and the co-op's a bit odd in places and some odd decisions. But generally, I'm having quite a good fun with it, and you can make your own Syndicate, and we've got our own BigRedBarel Syndicate as well, so you can come join that.
So all three of you who've picked this game up can join that. You lucky things.
It's we only need 4 players at once. We're fine.
Okay, good. But thankfully there's a couple of games out there that do stick true to their roots, and one of those is Soul Calibur 5 that all of us have had a bit of a play about with. By stick to its roots, I mean occasionally throws in completely non-canon characters just for the sake of it, like Darth Vader.
But occasionally, in the case of Soul Calibur 5, brings in one that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
In the form of Ezio Auditore di Firenze.
Yeah, and he works well in the game, I think, though.
He does.
Unlike Yoda before him.
Yeah, who was a short ass.
Who now doesn't work well in bloody Yoda phone adverts as well, but anyway.
Yoda phone.
That's such a terrible ad campaign.
I'm not even one of the people that hate the whole Star Wars thing, but that just really, really grinds my gears.
Anyway, blah, 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 don't go and see episode 1. Let's just get that over with, right? That's out of the way. Moving on. Soul Calibur 5 is, by and large, an excellent game, but the one thing, I don't know how much of it you guys have played, but
there's not as much game as there used to be.
The whole single player feels like it's geared towards driving you towards the multiplayer.
Yes.
Oh my god, the single player thing is tedious with the bizarre
weird cutscene things
drawed
going
cutscenes,
on,
which it doesn't make any sense.
And are pretty damn boring, to be fair.
Yeah, and the plot is terrible.
But the one thing they've really concentrated on is the mechanics of the actual fighting engine, and that is really well balanced, really
solid.
well. And it plays a lot more like Street Fighter, like as in Super Street Fighter 4, just because you've got the kind of specials and stuff. But it's still got enough of its own character with the weapons and the ring outs and stuff to make it unique, I think, no?
They've only changed kind of a couple of things here and there, but one of the things I noticed from Soul Calibur 4 is that there's a big kind of emphasis towards playing more offensively, like trying to get more hits in, rather than trying to guard the whole time.
As opposed to getting your junk out on an Xbox Live camera, which is a different way of being offensive while you play.
Thank you for that.
That's all right.
You still need to be blocking at times, though, man. Otherwise, you'll get destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point is that you build up a kind of a critical bar, which you can then use to deploy special moves and things like that. But that only really builds up, even if you... It doesn't matter if you miss. As long as you try and hit somebody, it builds up the bar, which is great. It tries to encourage you to take a couple of hits here and there.
But my one thing is, with this, I mean, a trick I think they missed with the single player is introducing you to the mechanics of the game, because in the single player you're pretty much just dropped in it and not told about kind of parrying.
Yeah, fighting games have always struggled with tutorial modes and stuff.
There's some stuff in the pause menu, I guess, somewhere.
But it's something that, that would have been an ideal use of the single-player campaign, since let's face it, most people are just going to go for the multiplayer, for actually kind of teaching you how to play the game properly, because if you go straight into multiplayer without trying and learning your craft, as it were, you are going to get your ass handed to you. There are scarily good people out there playing that game.
They've also kind of or not quite gimped my two characters, but my two characters don't exist anymore, and they've got their descendants now, basically.
Well, they're still the same character, though.
They've got some very different overall movesets and some completely new moves, and like my original character that I like to use was Kalik, and they've now got...
And they've replaced him with the guy with a really fat face. What's his name?
Yeah, his name escapes me at the moment, but
they're really forgettable, let's put it that way.
Sheba is his name, basically, with a Z, with an X. But,
what? With a Z and an X?
No, not with a Z and an X, with an X. But yeah, he's his kind of, I think, his student type thing, and he's good, and I like him now, but he took a bit of getting used to and stuff.
Although, I will say, a spoiler, if you do play for long enough, you do actually get Kalik back.
Yes, but not in his true form. He's in an Edge Master form, which means that he just gets general weapons, not his pole.
But do you know the problem I have with this game, though, chaps? Because, I mean, generally, the English voiceovers for these things are pretty terrible.
Yep.
So you tend to switch to Japanese. But watching the visuals with the improbable breasticles, with squeaky Japanese voices, instantly makes me feel like a perv. That is my problem with the game.
That's because you are a perv.
I'm not a perv.
You're perving at their breasts. Of course you're a perv.
No, I'm playing the game, but when you see things bouncing in front of you, you go, ah!
Can I just say how remarkable it is to hear Tim calling someone a perv?
Yeah, this is true.
When every press event he goes, oh, there was this fit girl then, oh. And we have to roll our eyes and go, yes, Tim. Good for you, Tim. That's nice, Tim.
Although you have calmed down now that you know you've got a lady friend, I have to say.
Thank you very much. Who, I must add, was making naked Soul Calibur characters.
That's because that is funny. In fact, that's the one thing I love about Soul Calibur is the character customization. I mean, I don't know how crazy you guys have gone, but I have gone absolutely berserk.
Yeah, and it's a really good full feature customization thing, and it kind of keeps you playing the game because you unlock more stuff the more you play, which is brilliant. But I think Soul Calibur 5 is well worth picking up. It's a good fun game, although a fight pad is probably nearly essential if you want to play competitively online. That's all I would say, since the stock 360 and PS3 controllers.
Yeah, I wouldn't go with a fight pad for Soul Calibur myself. Even as an owner of a fight pad, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I don't think it's the right button. You want a fight stick or a pad, in my opinion, for Soul Calibur.
I challenge somebody to beat my Buzz Lightyear in Soul Calibur.
You've really got far too much time on your hands.
No, I'm just creative, right?
No, you're not.
No.
It is, as it was last week, because that's a thing that we do. It is the Great British Debate, and it is a segment in which we verbally duke out a really nonsensical point which will vanish from your brain about 20 seconds after it's finished.
In all fairness, this is actually quite a sensical, if that is indeed a word, which I don't think it is.
Yeah, we can make it nonsensical, but it's fairly sensical at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, the point
Sensical's so not a word.
It is
As
now of the 22nd of February, which is the day this podcast should come out. For about the 20th time I've said that. The Vita is out today.
So not coming out on the 22nd, but anyway.
Aside, iPhones and things aside, because obviously we can't compare that to a phone. Its biggest rival is the 3DS from Nintendo, which has been doing rounds for just about a year now, and we are wondering which one will outsell the other.
John, can I just say thank you for clarifying for our listeners that the 3DS is from Nintendo? That was a key fact that I'm sure people didn't get.
Well, you know what? Some people may well be a little bit ill-informed, so I'm just doing my best. Anyway, Tim is on the side of the Vita. No, he's not on the side of the Vita. Anyway, Tim is on the side of the 3DS because he has been an owner since just around day one, and he loves to think of bits. And Dan, as the new Vita buyer / owner / regretter, is going to be on the side of the Vita. So I'm going to give Tim the chance to go first. Might as well give the guy that's already out a bit of a chance.
Yep.
So you have 30 seconds to explain why it won't outsell the 3DS starting now.
I've got one simple reason. Cold, hard facts. Numbers. The 3DS this week just announced that after a year of sales, it just hit 5 million units sold around the world. And that's 5 million units sold, not to retailers, sold to people. That it makes it the fastest selling handheld console and possibly even console of all time, just surpassing the DS. There's no way the Vita's going to do that, especially there's only about 12 people in Japan bought it so far.
Stop.
13, actually. 13 people have bought it in Japan, not 12.
Right, so essentially what you've explained is that the 3DS has sold a lot. Okay. Dan, you have 30 seconds to explain why the Vita will outsell the 3DS, starting from now.
Now, unlike Tim, I will exhibit some mastery of the fact between saying one thing that I'm going to say and then naming multiple facts, which is completely incorrect, you idiot. But the Vita is, yes, a new platform. It hasn't sold as many units, and because Monster Hunter hasn't been released in Japan, it hasn't sold several billion copies. However, it's a proper gamer's handheld. You don't have any of that kiddie nonsense that you get with the 3DS. You get unlocking puzzle pieces. Isn't that fun? Go back to kindergarten and buy a proper handheld like the Vita.
Doesn't matter how old the owners are, it's how many of them there are. That's
again, this is one of the weeks where I wish I could tell you both lost, because Tim has just given me a bunch of figures from a press release and not actually saying why the Vita doesn't stand a chance.
I said it doesn't stand a chance because it won't. There's no way it will catch up with
and Dan has just told people to go back to kindergarten. But the fact of the matter is, the 3DS has sold an awful lot, and it's probably going to keep on selling, and it completely surpassed everyone's expectations because they thought it was going to fail. And I think the Vita might have a chance. I don't think it's going to stand a chance against the 3DS, so Tim has won this week.
Nah, you fail.
I think you need to go back to kindergarten and learn some facts, Dan.
They don't even have kindergarten in the UK.
Well, playgroup then.
Go back to playgroup. That doesn't sound right, does it? Oh, you need to go back to playgroup and learn some facts. Doesn't sound right, John.
You just said that for 30 seconds, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, anyway. So let's get this show wrapped up because it's gone on for far, far too long. And you may remember on BRB UK Episode 1, we were giving away 2 copies of Final Fantasy 13-2, asking people to draw a picture that involved a chocobo, or if you're Tim, a chocobo. Yeah, indeed. And a big red barrel. And we had some interesting submissions.
Yeah, we had some good ones.
One of these winners we have chosen purely on equal opportunities grounds because they clearly don't know which end of a pencil to use.
No, I like both of these ones myself. I think they both had artistic merit. One had artistic merit and the other had, you took our joke and made it into a funny thing, so we that made us feel funnier.
Yeah, so our winners are Gunslinger X 1983 and Rinse, Wash, Repeat. Congratulations. We shall be in contact with you via email and find out where to send the copies of the game and stuff.
Now, the only thing there is we forgot to specify that people need to specify whether they wanted the 360 or the PS3 version. Now,
specify in your
specifications. But so if that's a problem with either one of you taking the PS3 version, the good news is we have 2 new copies this week. We're just not sure which versions we'll be giving away until we've given away the 2 versions we've already given away, if that makes sense, which it probably doesn't. But anyway,
much like that sentence, Tim, I think you'll find when you listen back to it.
So, what we're saying is there are 2 more copies of Final Fantasy 13 up for grabs this week as well, but pay attention to the forums as to whether there'll be a 360 or a PS3 version.
Absolutely. So all you need to do to be in with a chance of winning another copy of Final Fantasy 13-2 is to go to the forums at Big Red Barrel. That's www.bigredbarrel.com/forums. Sign up if you haven't already. And just tell us, you write down in text form the phonetic spellings of alternative ways to pronounce Chocobo. Because Tim, yeah, he has a problem. He can't pronounce things correctly. So we need to see alternatives of how Tim could pronounce Chocobo.
Yes, and for those of you that aren't clever enough to know what phonetic means, it means it's spelled like it said.
Yes. So there we go. So easy as that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Again, easy things made terrifyingly complex. But another competition we will be doing on the site is I shall be giving away, probably the competition will open pretty much the day this podcast goes up. I will be giving away a sealed retail copy of Uncharted Golden Abyss.
Ooh.
Very exciting. So do
Golden
keep
Abyss.
your eyes peeled to the front page. To win, you will need to be a registered member on BigRedBarel.com. So there. So go and register and you could win a free game of awesomeness and stuff.
3 free games today. 2 Final Fantasy 2s. 1 Uncharted.
So that sounds thoroughly spiffing. So I suppose we really should try and get out of here. And before we do that, we have literally bajillions of shout-outs to do.
Bajillions of people to thank. Thank you very much.
So, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who listened. I'm not going to list all 5,000 odd of you because that would take forever. But there are a couple of people who popped their head above the virtual parapet, so to speak, on the forum. So I would like to say thanks to Solid Jackal, Phoenix, Harry Bandel, Incranium, Dan C85, Diabolos Black, Parma Fan, Rinse, Wash, Repeat, and Mart Corn.
And also from the forums, I would like to thank Prime, but he doesn't listen because of my accent. Which
Say it more Scottishly.
Prime!
He said I sounded too English, and I don't get how that works. Anyway, I'd also like to thank Gamer Red, Baby Dave, Pandalicious, Gunslinger X 1983, Tardy Moments, Sidler, and Smurf UK.
And from iTunes, I would like to thank Busy Biscuit, The Plums, The Toaster, Starscream?
Yes.
Yep. Joey, Thomas Harding, and Kadenge.
God, we've really got to keep Tim away from magic mushrooms next week.
It's just every single word is so dramatic. It's like William Shatner is reading out our podcast. Oh, thanks.
I have to say, for people that argued about me and top form and stuff, I was a bit, depressed is probably too heavy a word, but down at the end of Sarcastic Gamer UK. Now I'm definitely on the up.
Right, good. But talking of William Shatner, you're not alone, Tim, in the William Shatner pronunciation. If you listen to the little clip of audio that goes after every podcast, instead of saying BigRedBarel.com, he says BigRedBarel.com, like that, which is very William Shatner-esque. So congratulations to unnamed American voiceover dude with the voice.
Mm-hmm.
Right, are we done taking piss out of everything we actually do now?
Yeah, pretty much. I think. Shall we end the show?
Yeah. Come take the piss out of our website in the week that goes by. Where you're not, where we're not in your ears.
Yes, come and visit us at BigRedBarel.com, where actually we'll have an absolute mass of Vita stuff going up this week. So
all of a sudden, I just had pop into my mind. You know that WeBuyAnyCar.com song, BigRedBarel.com, BigRedBarel.com, BigRedBarel.com. I want to hear someone make a music version. Right?
Genuinely.
Dan at BigRedBarel.com. I shall be waiting in expectation for your MP3s. Let's hear it.
I honestly didn't think this could get any worse.
It just did.
But it has. Yeah, so let's end the show. Those of you who have the iPhone, Android, iOS, iThing app from our previous website will get some bonus content from Tim this week, and that is
a interview with the Reality Fighters developer, but it also, as I said, talks quite a lot about the AR technology in general. Quite interesting, I found.
Marvellous. So even if you do say so yourself.
Even if I don't know, what he said was interesting, so I decided to nip outside and record an interview with him.
Well, there we go. So, anyway, that's your lot. We'll see you next week. I've been Dan.
I might have been Mighty Mutt. No.
Oh, no,
I might have been Tim then, I guess.
And I am the internet superstar. Good night.
You are the face of the internet.
Such a dick. Anyway, so before John's ego gets any bigger, that's been the show. So until next time, dear listeners, toodle bye.
You and your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarel.com for more podcast, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarel.com.